It is rant time. I am going to have a good old rant about creatine for women. This is specifically for women. I don't give a shit what anyone says. Creatine is shit for women. Yes, it is shit. And I was in the fitness industry for 100,000 years before I became an acupuncturist. And time again, I have tried it myself and I have seen other women try it. And I'm telling you right now, it creates fluid retention. It creates fluid retention. I don't give a shit what anyone else says. When I take it, and I've tried it 15 million times just to make sure, I get soft and floppy. I get all, I just get all ick. It's yuck. It's shit. Yes, it might be amazing for brain cognitive function. Okay, I hear you. I get it. But you know what? For my physique, it is shit. It makes you hold fluid retention, and I do not recommend it at all for females, period.
So I finally figured out what was causing all of my really bad breakouts, and I'm going to show you guys. This right here, I've been taking this since I want to say like October or September of last year, and ever since then my breakouts have been absolutely horrendous. If you don't know, this is creatine. It's a supplement that, you know, a lot of gym people have been promoting over the last like year and a half, and I've taken creatine before by different companies and I have never had a problem. So I just took the beauty filter off, and you can all see all of these scars are from all of my series of really bad breakouts. I'm gonna show you what my skin looked like before my breakouts. This is what my skin looked like at the beginning of summer. As you can see, like, I don't have any breakouts, I don't have any scars, and my skin was doing wonderful. I would only break out, I would get like a 1 or 2 like zits right when my period was about to start. And this is my skin now. As you can see, like, I have a lot of acne scars because I am a habitual pimple popper, and it's really, really bad. And I realized it was the creatine that I was taking because over the holidays I had stopped working out. I took like a 2-week break. You know, I had gone to the gym every day this year, so I gave myself a quick break, and while during that break I stopped taking the creatine. And I kid you not, once I stopped, the breakouts they're gone, and I'm on my period right now. I should have at least, like, this is the one bump currently that I have on my face. Everything else is just a scar. And I've taken other creatine one. This is the One Soul creatine, and I took this no problems. Like, I've taken the Amazon brand of creatine, like, no problem. But this EHP one, and it's really sad because I actually really love this brand. Like, their pre-workout is amazing. But I cannot take the creatine anymore, and I'm honestly scared to go back to any other brand because I don't know if my body's now like allergic to it in a way, because yeah, now I have to wait for all of these scars to go away. I'm considering getting like a chemical peel because I need my skin back. I need my confidence back. Like, I look like I've been through hell, and I'm pretty tired of looking like this, so yeah. But I'm glad I was able to figure out what it was.
Guys, stop taking creatine. Don't take creatine. Guys, my kidneys are failing. My kidneys are failing. They're failing. My kidneys are failing. Like, actually. Like, she was literally like, my kidneys are failing, guys. Don't take creatine. Oh my gosh. And we can't even say that, like, it's because I'm not drinking water. I drink minimum 1 liter a day. Like, because she was like, oh my gosh.
I immediately stopped taking creatine after I went to urgent care for a heart attack. I was coaching a CrossFit style class and my chest was on fire. My heart was racing and I honestly thought I was gonna drop dead right there in class. But here's the crazy part. I was 26, in the best shape of my life, and while I was a bit overworked, I couldn't explain why I was having extreme chest pains. About halfway through the class, I started to feel this tightness in my chest. At first, I ignored it. I thought maybe I was just out of breath or I had a long day, but then it got worse. Like a crushing pressure, like someone was sitting on my chest. So I said, I'm sorry, I think I need to cancel class and go to the ER. At this point, my mind is racing. Am I having a heart attack? Did I mess up my pre-workout? Did I die from my leg workout this morning? So I ended up going to urgent care, calling my wife, and the doctor who was working just happened to be one of my clients. They started doing a bunch of tests, but they came back and said, there's nothing wrong with your heart. After about 30 minutes for waiting for a blood test, the doctor comes in and says, are you taking creatine? And I said, yeah, why? Turns out what I thought was a heart attack was a somewhat serious case of dehydration. When you're on creatine, your muscles pull in more water. So if you're dehydrated, your blood volume drops, your heart has to work harder, and boom, chest pain, dizziness, and feeling like you're gonna keel over. So, am I quitting creatine? Absolutely not. But I am making sure that when I take creatine, I'm drinking enough water.
Creatine is killing your kidneys. Let me explain. This is my friend Jamal. Jamal was in his 20s and is training for strength and performance in the gym, and so was taking 5 grams of creatine every day, not knowing what was happening on a biochemical level in his blood meanwhile. All that changed when he went for a routine blood test. The full blood count was normal, the liver test was unremarkable, but when it came to the kidney blood test, his EGFR, which is a measure of kidney function, was significantly low at just 57. This is so low, it would be classed as chronic kidney disease stage 3. But is there something else that could be going on which could explain these results? You see, EGFR, the way we measure kidney function, is measured by checking the level of a certain waste product in the blood to see if the kidneys are filtering it out through the urine well enough or not. And this waste product is called creatinine. You see, when your muscle consumes the creatine that you ingest, the waste product is called creatinine. And so if someone is taking creatine supplements, the creatinine will inevitably be higher as well. So this blood test was likely what we call a false positive, and the kidneys are most likely working fine. In fact, this systematic review looking at 21 different studies found that creatine supplementation at the recommended doses and duration do not damage the kidneys.
I stopped taking creatine about, I think 6 months ago now. It's definitely been quite some time. I feel like now I am ready to explain why and just what I learned from my experience while on creatine, because it definitely was good until it wasn't anymore for me. And my experience is mostly for women just because it ties into a lot of women's health. So I was on creatine for a total of I think like 1 year. And like I said, it was good until it just wasn't for me anymore. And I really did notice a difference with how my muscles looked and how I performed in the gym and also just my focus. I really did like creatine, and to this day I wish I could still take it. Just to give a little background information, I am someone that has struggled with painful periods since I started getting periods, to the point where I would go pale as a ghost. I would throw up, the cramps would be so intense. So that wasn't anything new to me, and I did get on birth control I think at around 17 years old because of my really painful periods. Like every month I was staying home from school because I just felt like crap. So the birth control helped until I just realized like I just don't want to be on birth control anymore. I think at the age of either 21 or 22, it was definitely in my early 20s, I was just like, I just want to see how I feel getting off birth control and like what my body does naturally. And my periods, surprisingly, after getting off birth control, were not as bad as they were before. They were very manageable, moderate cramp pain, nothing severe to where I was throwing up, passing out. So I was like, okay, cool. I don't need to take birth control anymore. Like my periods are fine and manageable. Until I started taking creatine at the age of 24. Like I mentioned, I took it for a year and then I ended in 2025. I kid you not, maybe like that first month that I started creatine is when I had my first bad period again, to where I was throwing up. I couldn't walk, like not to mention my hips would just hurt so freaking bad. I would be out of commission the first like 2 to 3 days of my period and would not go anywhere. And it just never occurred to me that it could ever be the creatine because it's the most researched supplement. And I had just never heard any stories of other women experiencing this. So I just thought in my head like, oh no, like the painful periods are back. And I did go see my gynecologist when this started happening again to see what she would say. And at the time it was just like, you know, of course birth control is an option. If not, she gave me like this medicine to take like a week before my period. And also she gave me some like vitamin suggestions to take to help support. And none of it was helping or making any difference. So there I was going again another month with a terrible period, until I started doing my own research and just really thinking like, what could this be? And that is when I learned about endometriosis. While I have not been officially diagnosed with endo, because if you didn't know, you have to do it through surgery. There's no like ultrasound or anything like that. They have to cut you open and look inside. And I'm just like, I didn't want to do that. especially because I'm like, okay, let me try a couple of things and like really reevaluate like my lifestyle, what I'm eating and all of that, and see if that makes a difference. So first I went to TikTok and I just looked up endometriosis and creatine, or like painful periods and creatine, and sure enough there were a couple of stories of other women also like in their comment section explaining how they had to stop creatine because their cramps were so bad, or like they just felt terrible and they had endo and it just like made those symptoms so much worse. I honestly did not expect to find a connection. I just thought, I'm just going down the list of things that I've done and added to my everyday life recently, and since creatine was one of them, I was like, let me just see what it says. And sure enough, I got a lot of clarification, and that is when I was like, oh my gosh, I think the creatine is causing my painful periods, because it wasn't until I started taking it when I got them back. So I was like, okay, I have these women's experiences firsthand, and I also have mine, of course. So I went to Google and did another search and just asked, is creatine safe if you have endo? And this is what it will say. It says it's not recommended to take creatine if you have endo because it can promote new growth and cause inflammation. That is when literally I was like, oh my gosh, this is the creatine that's causing all of this. Now, the creatine did not cause my endo. That is why I gave the backstory that I have struggled with it before, but it definitely woke something back up. And looking back towards the end of my creatine journey, I was so puffy, especially in my face, everywhere. I was just so puffy. And that is also why I first of all stopped bulking, because I was like, I'm so unhappy with how I'm looking. And I am also positive I was inflamed. My skin was breaking out like crazy. My periods were so painful. My body was so not happy with me. And also turns out the medicine that my gynecologist gave me when I went in the first time with the problem of my painful periods is actually an anti-inflammatory medicine that you take to help reduce inflammation on your periods so your periods aren't as painful. So yeah, girl, I was inflamed. My body was not having it with the creatine. Yes, I was drinking enough water and I gave it, I think, more than enough time, and I wish I would have clocked that was the issue within that first month, because I would have saved myself a whole year of pain. And now that I stopped creatine about 6 months ago, my periods completely opposite from what they were a year ago. It is insane. I'm actually able to get out of bed. I'm able to make myself a little breakfast. I'm able to go to the store really quick. My skin cleared. The eczema on my legs pretty much gone. I'm just left with like dry patches and dry legs, but I have not had an eczema flare up. I haven't had to use the steroid cream on my legs in a while now. And this video is not meant to stop or de-influence you from taking creatine. Just please do your research, especially if you already have painful periods. If you have endo, definitely talk to a doctor. Although I will say my doctor was definitely surprised to hear that once I stopped taking creatine, my painful periods went away. So it is a very under-researched topic. I just want my story to help any other women that might be experiencing the same thing, especially because I'm always getting asked from other women if I would recommend creatine, and I just think it depends.
Why some women don't want to take creatine anymore. Welcome back to Beyond the Filter, where we look past the trends, question the hype, and talk about what nobody wants to talk about. Creatine is everywhere right now. Open TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube, and you'll probably see someone telling women, you need to take creatine. Creatine will help you build muscles. Creatine will make you stronger. Every woman should be taking creatine. But here's the question nobody seems to be asking. Do women actually need creatine? And why are some women who started taking it now deciding to stop? Let's talk about it. First, let's make something very clear. Creatine is not a steroid. It is the most studied supplement. It helps with lean muscles, boost workout energy, and speed up recovery. New studies also show it supports brain health, memory, and bone strength during aging and menopause. It is a compound naturally found in the body and in foods such as meat and fish. One of the biggest reasons some women stopped creatine is simply the number of the scale changes. Creatine pulls water in muscle cells, That doesn't mean you are gaining body fat, but if you are a woman who has been working extremely hard to lose weight and suddenly you see the scale going up, it can be very frustrating. Someone might say, don't worry about the scale, it's just water. But if your personal goal is seeing the number on the scale decrease, you may decide that the trend of isn't worth it. And that's a personal decision. But here's what the internet gets it wrong. I've seen people make some pretty dramatic claims about creatine. Creatine destroys kidneys, creatine makes women fat, creatine causes dehydration, creatine is basically a steroid. The evidence doesn't support those blanket claims. And honestly, this is what bothers me most. We've created another beauty and fitness rule for women. First, it was you need to be skinny, then you need to be toned, then you need to lift weight, then you need 50 grams of protein, and now you need creatine. When did taking care of ourselves become a checklist of supplements? Because the foundation hasn't changed. Eat nutritious food, get enough protein, exercise, build muscles, sleep, stay hydrated, and take supplement where there's a reason for you to take them, not because an influencer told you that you are missing something. Creatine can be useful too, but a tool is not a requirement. So if you're a woman who stopped taking creatine because you didn't like the water weight changes, didn't notice any meaningful benefits, or simply decided it wasn't right for your goals, that doesn't automatically mean you made a bad decision. And if you're a woman who loves creatine, feels stronger and feels or you enjoy the benefits, that's okay too. The goal isn't to convince women to take creatine. The goal is to stop treating supplements like they are mandatory accessories to being healthy. Do your research, understand what you are taking, know what your goal is, and most importantly, don't let social media convince you that you need to buy something before you are allowed to be healthy. This is Beyond the Filter, and thank you for watching. Make sure you are subscribed and click on the notification button. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.